hello again. Here again, acid and alkalinity, how to balance life, because life can only be life when there's a balance, and the balance we have lost because the mentality of us is that we have forgotten to think in origin and effect, cause and effect. And that is something the Asian countries have, cause and effect, because they know if they do something stupid, that will have an effect. Right? We know it all too, especially with our beloved partner. If I do something wrong, I know I have a straightaway effect. Right? So, and in this respect, we know it. But you know why? Because she does not wait. Right? When I behave stupid, she'll give me the effect right away. But if you behave in the food stupid, you don't know immediately, because the body is so intelligent and works it out silently. Before you really understand, you're already very, very sick. The whole planet is not getting better. Never mind what the Western medicine tells us and how brilliant they ever have become, which they did, but the diseases are increasing and not decreasing. And we have more and more diseases, and they're becoming all now genetic diseases. So, for example, many times I was asked and will be asked, well, we can do nothing, this is genetics. I say, okay, fine. Even the cold, the flu is genetic. You know why? Because there's nothing, not even an emotion is without genetical impact on your body. Right? So everything that comes from outside, we react to it. And so by reacting to it, yeah, we do exactly that what we've learned to be, in tune, even positive or negative in tune with the cause. So we're always going into that. But the only thing is, when we eat food, we do not realize it immediately. So we need an understanding that we do not later become sick, which is a very important balance, but people have to learn it. But once you're in it, and you did it for 1 week or 2 weeks, and know that there is a change possible, because I tell you, who heals is only one. Not the food that I told you here, not the alkalinity, nothing. What heals is our body, is inside the body cell. We are perfectly, perfectly beautiful and clear and healthy. The only thing is that the environment is so distorted and is so weak, and we have mostly the time to work our body against that, what we did wrong to it, so that the body does not really have a lot of strength left anymore to cope with that. One thing is very easy to understand. When I ask the people, please raise your hand. I have about 200 people in the audience, or sometimes 500. And the first thing is I do ask them one thing. Please raise your hand who is never really tired. And you know what? From 500 people, it's 50 people, 10% raise their hand and say, no, I don't know tiredness. And I look at the faces and I see, you know what? They're mostly young and have a lot of energy. They don't know yet what's coming up. Right? Because they're running into the same wrong direction. But all the other people in the world are tired. And you know when they're tired? In the morning. They get up in the morning, they have to make a long rest from the sleep, because that was already tiresome. And then the whole day is nothing but a drag, because you're not fit. You're not sparkling from life, The body should be like immediately be able to respond to our wishes, dreams, or what we want to do. That is not happening. You want to make the body fly, you have to understand these 5 elements. This is coming from the oldest tradition, 5,000 years ago. The Yellow Imperia is the book. Have you heard of that book? Yellow Imperia, you can buy it still. And he wrote it down, the 5 elements, and was a fantastic book. It's the book of origin for all the medicine to come. And you can, well, it's a bit written in a very philosophical way, but read it, buy it, the Yellow Imperia. And so here, the balance is in our body when we have, for example, here, metal, that is the metal business, when we have enough minerals in our food, that we have here soluble, mineral-soluble food. This is grains, because grains have the most minerals from all the minerals in the kingdom. Why? And the most important vitamin B12, yeah, or all the B vitamins, where do they really exist? In grains. But here we made something very clever. We refined the grains, so we had white grains. Why is that like that? Why? 150 years ago, they started to polish the rice. In India, they called this rice, and in my time when I was there, the Indians didn't want to eat their own rice, which is brown and beautiful and tasty. They ate the rice because they called it the gentleman rice. Yeah, because the gentlemen, the British, had polished that white rice for some reason, I don't know. And now when we, in the 70s, beginning 70s, were in Goa, they had plenty of rice fields, everywhere rice paddies. And it was really like I felt like I'm 1,000 years back in history, and all the people working on rice paddies and a lot of water and wonderful life. We asked the farmers for brown rice. They said, it's not possible, we don't do that, you can't eat that. So whole India was eating already since 150 years white polished rice. Why do we do that? We don't need it. When it's white, all the B vitamins which are in the shell of the grains are gone. Then naturally, eventually, you will be depleted of that important vitamin. Then here we have another thing. These are lentils and beans, which are, as we see here, 4 and 4. That means each one has 4 amino acids, and then the other 4 essential amino acids. We have 8 essential amino acids, and that is for all those who come and say, you have to eat meat, you have to eat animal products, because you need what? You need the 8 essential amino acids. Here in the vegetable kingdoms there are. Grains and beans have them fantastically, yeah? And anyone who comes to you on strong and thinks this is not possible to live without it, tell him this is possible. You know why it's possible? Because for religious reason, over 2,000 years, 1 billion people lived completely vegetarian. This is Ayurveda, old Buddhism, all over the Asia. How? We just, you know what? We just ignore them. We make our own story. But so wake up, right? And then let's have a lot of green leafy vegetables, which is very important because it has the chlorophyll and it's tasty. A good salad, a bitter salad, but here we go again. Rucola, radicchio, and all these salads. What is it you do on these salads? They are not bad, they're good, they're already quite balanced. But you add sugar and vinegar, right? It's just like, again, take a hammer and beat your head, because that's faster than this here, because we need here something on fermentation, and that is the umesu, which all China uses and all Japan uses, and they don't really use vinegar. And what has to go with it? Oil. So if you make a salad with a little salt and with ingredients, so spices and herbs you can put on it, but it has to be fermented and not with vinegar and sugar. Next one is the fire element. Here are herbs and spices on it. Now what happens is, if I have done something here on the bean side, which is good for my kidney, because these beans and all kidney beans are called kidney beans in all kinds of languages in the East, they have a real healing effect on the kidneys, provided you don't only have them, but you also eat them. And here we go, because people tell me, well, I don't want to eat beans, I have a lot of problems. Or better to say, my neighbors then. It's a lot of gas coming out. I say, yeah, right, you cooked them wrong. They have to be soaked, really soft, and then you have to add a lot of oil onto it. You know why? The beans don't have any oil. You have to add 15% oil on it. Now, you may think that is a lot. No, it's little compared to when you eat a cheese, which has minimum 80% of fats in it, because, as I spoke before, 100-liter milk makes 10 kilo cheese. 90-liter water is gone. That what's left over is fat. So, and then it's not called like that. It's called cheese, but cheese is cheese, and it has nothing to do with fat. But it used to be fat. Now, we have the greens for the chlorophyll, to clean it, to help the magnesium, because why? What is magnesium doing again? It takes out the carbon dioxide from your blood, so it makes room for the oxygen to inhale, and the carbon dioxide to exhale. This is the perfect balance. And besides this, the breathing is the most powerful and most important part of our life altogether, because it's the highest form of yoga, is actually called pranayama yoga. And you know why? It's the king, it's the queen of all yogas. And the first thing what they did in our times is teach you breathing exercises, properly exercises. They're exercises, they're fantastic. You can use them really for healing mechanism. And you know what? If you do that to a sick person and give him a proper healing breathing exercise, you do damage to him. You know why? It's like you have a car, the engine is not good, and all of a sudden you give a lot more oxygen into the carburetor, right? That engine cannot cope with it. So first you have to get the body healed and make that possible, and the healing process starts itself when the lung is able to take more oxygen in, by measures of first taking carbon dioxide out. And that is only possible with the help of a lot of greens. But nowadays, what is the people doing? They use greens as a decoration. And if they had 3 little leaf corianders on their big beef, then they're proud. Right? Now, herbs and spices and fire and heat and everything is again. Now, before I said, please raise your hand, who is never tired? 10% of the audience says, I'm not tired. Now I ask the next question. Please tell me, who is always freezing? This is more to the women speaking, and I please ask the women, please all women, raise your hand who never feel cold. You know what? 20% raise their hand and say, I don't freeze. 80% are constantly always cold. They have a cold temperature. And no wonder, when you have a cold temperature in your body and you have a cold feet, cold hand, kidneys cold, that cannot be healthy. You have to feel hot, inside burning, power, because when you have a low temperature that is like feeling always cold, your combustion chambers, right, everything here, that burning process cannot be the same as somebody who has a good, fantastic high temperature. Imagine just some Russians in Siberia. They eat buckwheat in the morning, which is fermented, gives a lot of heat, and they have a little bit of vodka, and then they go out minus 30 degrees and shovel the snow. Would you do that when you eat an apple juice, when you have an apple salad? No. And if they do it, they would not go out anymore because they would be feeling very, very cold. When I was living in the Himalayas in 5,000 meters height, I saw the Sherpas walking barefoot over glaciers. And I asked him, why you doing that? And you know why? Because I said, we feel the glacier and the cold doesn't matter to us. And I saw that. And the first year I was in the Himalayas, I saw that even the children not only played in the summer, but also in the winter was minus 20, minus 30 degrees. And all the children were playing outside barefoot. So I thought, okay, all the people do that, and they have no blue feet, nothing is burnt next year, fine, they don't have any problems. But then I related it to what they were eating. So I did eat the same with them, because I did only eat in these countries what really local people were eating, whether it's in Africa or in the Himalaya. You know what? Next year, in the winter, I had no shoes on it, and I walked over glaciers, and I walked in 28 degrees minus, barefoot outside in the snow. And you know what? I still can do that today. But I know what I have to eat before. If I eat a tomato, I freeze. If I eat buckwheat, fermented, have some green tea, no matter. I can drink a coffee, I put a little cognac in it, and the life is fine. So, and I did it. When I came back, in the 80s, beginning 80s, I did a lot of seminars in Sweden, and Sweden is minus 30 in the winter. So I had seminars down there. I had a group of people for 3 weeks doing yoga and food business, and I got them out every day into the open, minus 28 degrees. I coat everything on, barefoot, walking every day, 1 hour with them in the snow, in the cold. Why? Because I know how the body was trained, and he can do that. I can swim easily in minus, and sit in there for 10 minutes where other ones cannot even dip their finger in it. To food. If I eat wrong food, I wouldn't go in the cold water. So the body learns all that, but you have to have an inner heat coming up. This is this measurement, fire. Fire element is a very vital element, right? And we do not have fire anymore. You can eat anything if you know how to balance. This is not a teaching here for one or the other diet. You can eat anything if you know how to balance. But the art is to know it. So here we have earth element. That is sour, yeah, and that is sweetness. This is something that grows in the earth. For example, if you have carrots and saute them slowly, they get brown and they get a little bit caramelized. So their own sweetness is being coming up and taken out. And all of a sudden, when you had that on your plate, tastes delicious. Everybody, oh, where did you get these carrots? I said, they're yours from you. Oh, my carrots? They didn't taste like that. I said, no, they didn't taste like that. I have to make them taste like that. And that's by saute. Steaming, saute, frying. And these both are cooking in water. Right? This is grains and pulses. So we have a perfect balance, and 5-element meals means this. Here, very important that we have that we have roots, vegetables. That can be sweet potato, they can be parsnip, pastinaks, celery. Everything you have to do it in the kitchen, saute it, not with water, slowly on, and it takes time. Yeah. So, and then it becomes sweet, becomes very, very tasty. And then here we have our herbs and add some of this one. And then we are back to the rice. And the same is with the rice. I've been traveling all over the world, yeah, and I go to many centers where they already have cooking. I introduce myself, they know me, and I said, listen, I'll take over your kitchen for a couple of days. I do that here just because you're such nice people. Then they have all the food which I needed anyhow in there. And you know what? The first thing is I take their rice and cook it my way. And you know what? They all ask me, always the same, oh, where did you get this rice from? I said, from the kitchen, from your back cupboard kitchen, right? That's not our rice. I said, of course it's your rice. But you know what? The only thing where I'm not going to is when I have been invited by vegetarian people. That is the only food you don't want to eat. I don't eat the other one either, but they cannot cook at all. And you know what? Meat eaters at least have a little hand for taste. They eat too much meat, but they're still better off than those ones who run around and think the food has to have nothing in it, and I want it just like this. You know what? Better is they fast them. They fast and fast and fast, and since they're not there anymore. But because food is something more than that. This is the highest value. That's what made us like this. And we did not come here and did not evolve on this planet without this food. And only because of billions of years, yeah, trial and error, the races all of a sudden developed all this beautiful, and by intuition they found out what is good and what is bad. And now we know it, and we have all the knowledge, and what we do with it, yeah, we leave it to our beloved, healthy industry and pharma, yeah, and they're taking it over because it's so nice, all right? So this is the kingdom, and this is not difficult to learn, all right? And what is love? Love always goes through the stomach. It's an old saying, but nowadays love does not go to the stomach. Love goes through shoes, handbag, car, right? Or to investment, management, and all that. That's love. But here, nobody has time anymore for that. And that's the fall down of our humanity. Right. Thank you very much.